So I got to visit Washington, D.C., and I had 3 hours to spare. So I walked from the National Mall 2 blocks to the Bible Museum. This used to be a refrigeration warehouse, but it opened last year in 2017 as the Bible Museum. So after walking through the large bronze doors and past some beautiful stained glass and artwork through the beautiful atrium they have, I made my way to the second floor, where there is an exhibit called Impact of the Bible. And this is basically an exhibit that takes up a lot of space, but covers a lot of ways in which the Bible has had a local and global impact on social issues, political issues, education. It carried significant preachers of the Bible. There's also some different aspects of how the Bible has had a cultural impact on music and fashion and literature. There was a cool part of the Impact of the Bible exhibit where there was a large dinner table, and it showed how different biblical prayers are exercised around various dinner tables around the world, from Georgia in the United States to Egypt to Brazil. And I'll give you a listen in here to what that looked like and sounded like.
Lord, bless this meeting once that it may sustain our lives.
Pode começar quando você estiver pronto.
יום השישי ויקום השמיים והארץ וכל סיבה וקל אלוהים ובשמיים נחתות.
Getting to see this just really put the whole thing in perspective of how this book has an impact on the world and families everywhere. There's an exhibit there from the Gutenberg press, in which shows actual demonstration of how it would have worked. I just have a passion for music, and so the musical part of the Impact of the Bible was a place I spent a lot of time in, and was really neat to see how many times and places biblical stories and references are made in music across all genres over the course of history. On the second floor, there's also the Bible Now exhibit, and it was pretty heavy on the use of technology, showing live data of biblical references across various platforms on the internet. There was a footage of biblical landmarks. And then there's also interactive screens where you could search for specific data or create your own contribution to a sort of digital word wall. And this is how that works. My word was secure, if you could find it.
Come over here real quickly. While it's up right here. This is how the Bible makes you feel. So click on here, see there, and you can put in the word, the Bible makes me feel loved. And I hit done, and see how love comes up on the wall. You can take a picture with the word. It's like a graffiti wall, so you can come up and just interact with it and shape and put it in different words that you want. Down there, look real quickly before it disappears. That's all.
The last thing I got to check out on this floor was called the Washington Revelations, and it's a pretty intense ride actually. It's like a virtual roller coaster, and Some people even got motion sickness. You feel like you're on the back of a pigeon flying through Washington, D.C., and you're able to see different biblical references everywhere in D.C. Makes me wonder how the United States has gotten so far from its roots when you see how many places their forefathers have integrated biblical references around this capital. So I got up to the third floor, called Stories of the Bible, and this has basically 3 sections to it, an Old Testament, New Testament, and then a third exhibit that has some more physical aspects to it. The Old Testament section is actually a fully immersive experience that appeals to various senses and emotions. It has different video presentations and visual effects, and there was no photos or videos allowed, which is probably better anyways, because they would not do any justice in showing how impactful this particular experience was. It was sensational and gripping, and kind of almost felt like I was walking through the desert with fellow Israelites. There's also a New Testament exhibit that was very similar, tied it all together, and it brought the story of the Bible to life, along with all the other artifacts on this third floor. The fourth floor is called the History of the Bible, and there was much more just physical displays here to experience and look at. One of the most impactful talked about how many languages the Bible has been translated into, as well as how many it has not been translated into. And the visual representation of this was very powerful for me.
Rosas, Kapitulo 3, versikulo 20. Sagot man ang pandaigin niyo, daigin ng buhay ako para sa Panginoon, aron pa sa tao.
There was a host of original copies of the Bible, even pieces of the manuscripts from various centuries in history. From every thick Bible you can imagine to the skinniest, and from every humongous Bible to the tiniest. There was so many different, really neat variations of copies of the Bible that were fascinating to look at. There was also more videos that provided a fun way to tour biblical sites, with kind of this fun, goofy host riding around in a Jeep, and you could just enjoy that from the comfort of some benches to rest after what could have already been quite a tiring trip here to the museum. There was a 5th and a 6th floor I didn't get a chance to go to. There was more just things like restaurants and I believe a concert hall up there, so probably less to take in anyways, but that is the review of what I did get to see at the Bible Museum. And I can say that although I didn't pay the suggested donation at first, by the 3rd floor I was compelled to support this incredible work, and it's a place I will take my own children when they're around 10 years old, just as another way to keep the Bible, this divine document, relevant for them and the stories it shares.